Start. Here are the threats. Pawn takes pawn. Checks in puzzle position are. Rook to g8, check. Rook to f5, check. Answer to this puzzle is pawn takes pawn. Another one. Puzzle position vulnerabilities are. Pawn takes pawn. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using c5. King to f2. King takes pawn. Let's see the next puzzle. Threats in puzzle position are. Pawn takes rook. Queen takes pawn, check. Here are checks in puzzle position. Rook to c1, check. Queen takes pawn, check. Queen to d1, check. Queen to a1, check. Solution to the puzzle is. Pawn takes rook. Queen to e4. g6. Queen to e5, check. King to h7. Bishop takes pawn, check. King takes bishop. One more. Here are the threats. King takes bishop. Rook takes pawn. Knight takes pawn. There are no checks in this position. Answer to this puzzle is. King takes bishop. Bishop to d3. d5. Let's continue. Here are threats in puzzle position. Pawn takes bishop. Checks in this position are. Queen to h2, check. Queen to h1, check. Answer to this puzzle is. Pawn takes bishop. Queen to d5, check. King to f8. One more. The threats are. There are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using. Knight to h5. f3. Knight takes queen. Another one. Threats in puzzle position are. Knight takes pawn. Pawn takes knight. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes rook. Queen takes knight. Checks in puzzle position are. Queen to c5, check. Queen to d4, check. Queen to e1, check. Answer to this puzzle is. Queen takes knight. Queen takes queen. Pawn takes queen. Let us go to the next puzzle. Let us look at threats in puzzle position. Bishop takes bishop. Queen takes knight. There are no checks in this position. The best move in puzzle position is. Bishop takes bishop. Knight takes pawn. Queen to h6. Let's continue. The threats are. King takes knight. King takes pawn. There are no checks in this position. Here is the solution to the puzzle. King takes knight. g4. King takes pawn. Next puzzle. The threats are. Queen takes knight. There are no checks in this position. The puzzle is solved using. King to g2. Queen to d5, check. King takes knight. One more. Here are the threats. Pawn takes knight. Pawn takes bishop. Queen takes knight. There are no checks in this position. Here is the solution to the puzzle. Pawn takes bishop. Rook to g8. Queen to d4. Next puzzle. Here are the threats. Bishop takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Pawn takes knight. The checks are. Knight to b3, check. The best move in puzzle position is. Pawn takes knight. Another one. The threats are. Queen takes bishop, check. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes knight. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes bishop. Knight takes knight. Bishop takes pawn. Here are checks in puzzle position. Queen to e8, check. Queen to f8, check. Queen to g8, check. Queen takes bishop, check. The answer is. Queen takes knight. Next puzzle. The threats are. Knight takes pawn, check. Bishop takes knight. The checks are. Bishop to b5, check. Knight to f4, check. Knight takes pawn, check. Solution to the puzzle is. Bishop to b5, check. Knight to c4. Knight takes pawn, checkmate. Let's continue. Puzzle position vulnerabilities are. There are no threats in this position. There are no checks in this position. Here is the solution to the puzzle. b2. King takes pawn. King takes knight. Next, the threats are. Rook takes pawn. Pawn takes pawn. Here are the checks. Rook to e8, check. The best move in puzzle position is. Rook to e8, check. Rook takes rook. Rook takes rook, check. King to f7. Queen to b8. Another one. Threats in puzzle position are. Rook takes knight. Rook takes pawn. Here are checks in puzzle position. Bishop to c5, check. Knight to f3, check. Answer to this puzzle is bishop to c5, check. Rook takes bishop. Rook takes rook. Another puzzle. Here are the threats. Queen takes bishop. Queen takes pawn, check. Checks in puzzle position are queen takes pawn, check. The puzzle is solved using queen takes bishop. Queen takes queen. Bishop takes queen. One more. Threats in this position are queen takes queen, check. Queen takes pawn. Rook takes bishop. The checks are queen takes queen, check. Queen to c7, check. Queen to d6, check. Queen to b7, check. Queen to b5, check. Queen to a7, check. The best move in puzzle position is queen takes queen, check. Rook takes queen. Rook takes bishop. Next puzzle position vulnerabilities are knight takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. Rook takes bishop. Let us look at checks in puzzle position. Queen to h5, check. The answer is knight to f4. Queen to f5. Knight takes bishop. Let us go to the next puzzle. Threats in this position are rook takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. The checks are rook to d8, check. The puzzle is solved using rook to d8, check. Bishop to f8. Bishop to h6. Knight to d7. Rook takes rook. Next puzzle. Threats in this position are bishop takes knight. Rook takes knight. Here are checks in puzzle position. Bishop to d8, check. The best move in puzzle position is bishop takes knight. Bishop takes bishop. Rook takes bishop. Another one. Threats in this position are bishop takes pawn, check. Queen takes pawn. Queen takes pawn, check. Checks in this position are bishop takes pawn, check. Queen takes pawn, check. The best move in puzzle position is queen takes pawn, check. Rook takes queen. Rook to e8, checkmate. Next puzzle position vulnerabilities are pawn takes pawn. Queen takes pawn. Bishop takes pawn. Here are checks in puzzle position. d6, check. The puzzle is solved using d6, check. Queen to f7. Bishop to c4. Queen takes bishop. Queen takes queen, check. Next puzzle. Threats in this position are bishop takes pawn. Knight takes pawn. Knight takes pawn. Bishop takes knight. Rook takes bishop. There are no checks in this position. Here is the solution to the puzzle. Bishop takes knight. Pawn takes bishop. Rook takes bishop. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.